Hello, thank you for listening. This is the near death experience of Anelia, and this experience occurred in 1987. Open quote. I was 1 year old and fell from the metal climbing structure at the playground. All my life, I have regarded this very unique experience as my very first memory. It is my oldest memory, and yet it is very vivid. I don't remember the events leading to my experience, but I remember the experience very vividly. I was not unconscious, but I would rather describe it as being superconscious. It felt as if I perceived it through a mature consciousness slash mind slash awareness rather than the toddler brain. I don't remember how I felt, but I remember I felt absolutely no pain, nor did I feel the impact with the ground. It is hard to explain, but it felt as if I levitated upwards, but somehow knew my body was on the ground. Up above me, I saw this beautiful, warm, gentle, yet bright white light. The light had depth to it as it was brightest in the center, but there was also a spectrum of very beautiful and gentle colors. It was somewhat similar to the sun, but our eyes see the sun as a white flat circle that is painful to look at. This light did not look flat, nor did it hurt the eyes to look at it. In that moment, it felt as if time had stopped or just didn't exist. I felt that the light was protecting me and nothing could ever reach me or harm me in its presence. I felt super calm and loved. It wasn't like the love between humans, which involves various different emotions. This love was unconditional and serene. I was levitating towards the light. At the same time, I had knowledge that I was dead. I did not have a word for the concept of death. I had this strong perception that my life had ended and I was returning to where I originated from. I saw my life on earth as a split second and a tiny fraction of what I was supposed to live. I thought to myself, the equivalent of, was that it? No, this cannot be it. At that moment, I had a clear understanding of who I was on a fundamental level. I'm not talking about earthly attributes like gender, race, or ethnicity. I'm talking about the spirit me, for lack of a better term. I wasn't a human form, nor did I have an age. I just was. For the sake of explaining this experience, I am writing everything in linear order. However, all of this happens simultaneously. It is hard to explain. Question: did you see an unearthly light? Answer: yes. The light was deep, white, and warm, with the brightest part of it at the center. It had many colors to the periphery or ambient. The light felt like it was a conscious being, capital B. The light did not hurt to look at. Question: did you seem to enter some other unearthly world? Answer: I entered a place where time did not exist, but I was only at the entrance. I had the knowledge that if I went all the way through the light, I would never be able to return. It was a place of transition where I could receive a perspective on my past and future earthly life. I was only my consciousness. I wasn't a body, and that didn't bother me at all. Question: what emotions did you feel during the experience? Answer: I felt serenity, love, peace, security, comfort, admiration of beauty, and acceptance. Question: did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer: I understood everything about myself, but not all others. I had understood what I was, and what life is, and where it had come from. I knew who I was, and I wasn't the body. It was like I had always been the consciousness, but the body was just my capsule for my life, which had the purpose of experience. Rather than being goal-oriented life, I seemed to be experience slash process oriented. To give you a silly example, people go on a holiday to a beautiful destination to have an experience rather than to have an achievement. That is the best comparison that I can think of. Question: did scenes from your past come back to you? Answer: I know that I acquired the knowledge that I had been a toddler who had lived just a fraction of the life meant for me, but I don't remember the details now. Question: did scenes from the future come to you? Answer: I don't remember the details, and that is a good thing considering that I was a toddler and my life was just about to be lived. I remember I was blessed with good health until the end of my life, until the end, and my life wasn't too difficult, but it was also not the usual life pattern that the majority of people follow. I did something of particular significance, but don't remember what it was. Question: did you come to a border or point of no return? Answer: I felt that I could go through the light, but I would miss out on the life experience I was meant to have. Also, I had that feeling that this choice would hurt my loving parents. Question: did you seem to encounter a mystical being or presence or hear an unidentifiable voice? Answer: I encountered a definite being. The light was like a presence of a spiritual being or like the source of life itself. It communicated with me, but it was telepathically. I didn't hear an audible voice, and I didn't know any human language well enough at the time, but I definitely had concepts and knowledge, despite the fact that I had learned them during my life prior to the experience. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about pre-mortal existence? Answer: yes. I felt that I had existed for eternity and was not created, but at the same time, I did not have a past. It is if I had the properties of something eternal, and that is why I had the feeling that I was never created. I had no memories of past lives. Remember also that during the experience, time didn't have the same meaning. It was as if I was a copy of the eternal consciousness, but at the same time, I wasn't the source itself. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about universal connection or oneness? Answer: yes. I could telepathically communicate with another being, and there weren't the boundaries that exist between living organisms in different bodies. I experienced the being as all-knowing, and for that reason, I had the perspective into past and future events. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about the existence of God? Answer: yes. The supreme loving source of all life was represented by the light. During your experience, did you gain information about your purpose? Answer: yes. I had a feeling, but unfortunately don't remember any special knowledge, or maybe not unfortunately. I'm sure I will learn that again. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about the meaning of life? Answer: yes. Like I mentioned earlier, the purpose of life seems to be to have an experience, and the point was to live for the process rather than for the end result. I don't know whether that is all there is to it. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about an afterlife? Answer: yes, on a fundamental level, I was life and consciousness, while the body on earth was just a capsule for the earthly experience, which is one of many possibilities. Life on earth was like a dream from which I woke up to remember who I was. The materialistic view is that the body creates life, while what I experienced showed me that life was what made the body alive. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about love? Answer: yes. I experienced unconditional love and was aware that my human parents were also capable of unconditional love. It is hard for me to describe it because at that time I had not known the opposite of love. It was as if only love existed. It is really on earth that we learn the meaning of lack of love. Question: what life changes occurred in your life after the experience? Answer: unknown. I don't know really, but I will mention a few things that are specific to me. I started drawing when I was at about that age. I don't know if it was before or after the experience. All I know is that I have been drawing since I can remember. I used to do better in art than the kids. I was absolutely terrified of sports and of climbing ladders and catching balls. I did not associate my fears with the experience, but always felt inferior to other children who didn't have any fears of sports. The only thing I was good at was swimming. I was very quiet and did not like to play with large groups of children, as I couldn't understand why they had to make so much noise. I had an issue with saying a basic hello to people. It seemed stupid and embarrassing to me when I was a child. I did not understand the point of that verbal ritual. As a child, I used to ask my parents difficult philosophical questions, such as what is nothing, and ask them if they can imagine it. I used to ask them if they felt the way I did, meaning I can control my body, but I don't feel it. It is as if I don't have it. I had this strange belief that everyone is born twice. First when they are born, and then a confirmation birth at the age of 4. As a child, I could stick utensils to my hand like a magnet. I am highly intuitive and have a strong connection with nature. So without having studied about plants, I can figure out what they need even when the plants are very difficult to grow. My dreams are exceptionally vivid, and if I had any musical skills, I could have recorded the original music I hear in my dreams. From time to time, I have strange incidents of instant knowledge that something is about to take place. For example, when my younger brother was in primary school and I was in high school, I had that bothersome feeling that something happened to him and he was sent to the sick room and my parents were called. It bothered me the whole day. When I returned from school, my brother had indeed been picked up from school early because another kid had thrown a stone and hit my brother's head. I have had an out-of-body experience that starts with vibrations, not a physical origin. They feel like energy flowing from the end of my limbs and being collected in my skull. There they are, amplified, and the out-of-body experience follows. I don't like those, to be honest, but when that happens, usually I am shown something in a dream. Just to be clear, I have never taken recreational drugs, never been drunk, never smoked, and I hardly ever take medications. Medications usually have severe adverse effects on me. I consider myself very blessed, and I've had some very interesting things happen to me. Question: was the experience difficult to express in words? Answer: yes. First of all, there is the coherence issue. Yes, there was the event, in this case the falling, which led up to the experience and being picked up after I fell, but everything that happened during that experience happened simultaneously. It is like this reality in one-dimensional, whereas that reality is multidimensional. Also, one cannot use appropriate words to describe more conscious than conscious. Words are sufficient to describe earthly objects and phenomena, but when one attempts to describe that kind of an experience, words are only descriptive but not definitive. Question: how accurately do you remember the experience? Answer: I don't know. I don't have any other memories from that age. The life memories I have are from later on. People tell me about events that had happened to me about that age, but I remember none of them. They tell me how I got sick from a certain food that I ate, and yet I remember nothing of it. I am certain that the only reason I remember the experience is because it was an experience of super consciousness. Question: do you have any psychic, non-ordinary, or other special gifts after your experience that you did not have before the experience? Answer: yes, I have claircognizance from time to time. Like I mentioned earlier, an example was when my younger brother was in primary school and I was in high school. I had that bothersome feeling that something happened to him and he was sent to the sick room and my parents were called. It bothered me the whole day. When I returned from school, my brother had indeed been picked up from school early because another kid had thrown a stone and hit my brother's head. I am very intuitive, but I don't know whether this is due to the experience. Question: are there one or several parts of the experience that are especially meaningful or significant to you? Answer: the entire experience is highly significant to me. That was the experience that showed me who I was, and the fact that I had had it at an age far too young to have any prior knowledge. To me, it shows that I am not my brain. My brain is the processor of the physical senses received through the body and communicated to consciousness. The brain is like a transmitter. It can receive, but it is not responsible for perception. My experience was not a product of my brain only, as my brain had not received any of that information through life. From the materialistic point of view, a mere hit on the head can never inset all that information. Question: have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer: yes. Family members and I asked my mother, and she verified the event. I posted a few comments on a YouTube video about NDEs. I want to share it with others, but chances are they won't get it, just like some of my family members don't. I am noticing that the idea of consciousness not being a product of the brain upsets a lot of people. Question: what do you believe about the reality of your experience shortly after it happened? Experience was definitely real. The memory was stored as a separate category and not that of earthly memories or dreams. When I started experiencing dreams, I realized that I had a memory which did not belong in the dream memory section, nor in my life's timeline memory section. Question: what do you think about the reality of your experience now? Experience was definitely real. But since it did not turn out to be a memory from a past life, the memory of death can only be explained as a near-death experience, not a death experience. Keeping in mind that it happened before I was taught about death, and yet I had a concept of death, but it symbolized a transition rather than an end. The fact that I wasn't clinically dead does not invalidate my experience. It only suggests that consciousness can detach from the body prior or post physical death. And questions. Interesting story. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.